There is a certain stink bug who is scheduled to appear in one of my videos this month. Let's name him Moltka for the purposes of our discussion. He was situated over my window, and I was pretty distraught. After catching him in the act in video format, I went downstairs to my mom to ask her if she could dispose of him. Actually, a lot of these sites that have lists for names say baby names, and I'm like, they're also adult names and kid names and elderly names. When you have a name, it's not only as a baby, it's your life name, and I think that some parents forget that when they go and name their kid Candy, per se, like that poor moderator in the presidential debate. So, I came back up to track Moltka's movements, and I stood on my bed for like 20 minutes watching him. My mom never came up, by the way. Not that I blame her for that. You know those hideous blinds that you can adjust them so that if there's too much sun you can make them go like this so they're not in your eyes, or change them as needed. I watched him go behind that section at the top where there's probably all those pulleys where the strings are, and I expected him to just come out of the top, but he never did. And so I think he's just in there still, unless he's somewhere in my room, and that would be kind of creepy. Undesirable. But I would rather him just stay in there and hopefully die. Stink bugs aren't very smart, and they usually can't get other places that they get into. It's not good to make generalizations because that's just narrow-minded, but of the stink bugs that I have seen, most of them were pretty stupid. So I'm going to just assume that Moltka is also. My sister is the same way. She'd rather deal with living with a dead stink bug nearby than actually have to touch it. We each had one of those little nets that either make you feel like a princess or like someone who lives in one of those countries where there's a bunch of mosquitoes with malaria, so you have to have a net over your bed. And somehow a stink bug had gotten into her netting, and she just kept it there so she wouldn't have to touch it. And I remember one time my friend and duo partner came over to practice our duo for the upcoming forensics tournament, and she saw it there. She was just appalled that Charlotte would keep a dead stink bug over her bed to just, watch over her as she slept, even though it couldn't watch her, it was dead. But that is the way it is run in this household. I've actually had a stink bug there. When we moved into this house in 2010, that stink bug was there. It was dead. It was between my window pane and my window screen, and I've never moved it, and it's pretty much just like a skeleton of a shell now. I thought that Moltka would find him and want to leave, but apparently he was not affected. This other time, a couple years ago, I was playing at a wedding with my quartet, and I was wearing one of those dresses that have there's like the inside layer, and then there's like a layer of meshy material, and somehow a fly had gotten in between the inner layer and the mesh layer, and it was just buzzing around in there, freaking out. I tried to get it out. I was trying to be discreet because I didn't want to disturb the wedding, but it just could not get out. That was a little distressing. And yes, I do have dinosaur sheets, and I'm proud of it.